Hi guys, and welcome back to another video, or welcome if this is your first time here. My name is Dana. I am a homeschooling mama of 4 little ones, and as you can tell from the title down below, today I'm going to be chatting with you guys about my personal experience growing up homeschooled, kind of how that relates to how I homeschool today, and everything in between. We're going to be talking about anything from the curriculum I used growing up to what we use now, to just kind of the extracurriculars that we did growing up to what we do now, and just everything in between, as I said before. But I hope you guys do enjoy today's video. If you do, I'd love to have you join our family. You can do so by subscribing down below. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. So I thought I would start off by really just chatting about what curriculum we used growing up. Now, we were more of an eclectic homeschool family, which kind of means we pulled from multiple different curriculums. We were never a same curriculum across the boards for all the grades type of family, and I really have grown to appreciate that. Now that I am homeschooling my little ones, I have grown to really appreciate that. It's kind of funny, my mom and I talk about this a lot actually, about how everything kind of comes into a complete circle when it comes to perspectives. When you start homeschooling your own little ones, or when you have children of your own, then you are able to then look back and maybe see through a different lens and a different, just a different perspective and everything. And I love that she did this because it really gave her the ability, and it gave us as the children the beneficiaries of this ability, to be able to have a very fine-tuned, honed-in, personalized education. So even if we were all in different grades, we not only had obviously all different grades, but all different subjects and curriculum. But within that curriculum, there is different topics within it, if that makes sense at all. So when I first started to learn how to read, for example, she would use the Alphaphonics program, the Victory Drill book. We used Christian Liberty Press throughout the years as well. And then once I hit elementary school, we would add in Abeka, Bob Jones. I'm trying to think of other big ones. I've used a little bit of Alpha Omega, a little bit of Memoria Press for special languages. Once we hit middle school, we added in formal music lessons. I guess technically we started that in elementary school. So we did a lot of focus on music. We went to a lot of extra music camps. We did formal music lessons and multiple different instruments. And it was just a fun season of life. That's when we actually also started more of a formal history science curriculum. If you have been around here for a while, you know that we are not doing a formal science or history curriculum in my home anyway right now for the little years. And a huge part of that reason is because I didn't do it when I was little either, and we didn't do a formal science or history pretty much for all the little years. We waited till like middle school before we really started that, or elementary I should say. But that was, again, a huge part to what I am choosing to do now with my little ones. But we did a formal history curriculum, and I want to say we did CLE for a little bit, and then we went to just straight Abeka history, especially once we hit like that 8th, 9th grade level. And one of my favorite ways that my mom did history in particular, that is the fact that she actually and not just use the history textbook. Because for me personally, I was never a huge fan of the actual history, because it wasn't necessarily that I didn't like the subject matter. It was that all the history books that we had when it came to a formal curriculum were really boring. And that's a huge part of why I chose the Tuttle Twins for my kids now. It's more of like read aloud style, even though we're not doing it as a curriculum. Back in the day when it came to high school history, is we would do a lot of autobiographies, we would do the Christian heroes tales, just a lot of really good books that made history come to life. And one of my favorite reasons why I love doing the autobiography thing along with history is it really helps, like, obviously the characters come to life, but you really learn so much more about a time in history doing it that way. So one thing that she did when it came to my high school years is, yes, we'd use a textbook as our guide, but we'd go through the timeline and kind of pick out read alouds and books to read along with it. So it was not just this memorization of facts, but it was a whole on experience of learning about the time period. I love that she did that, and that's something that I'm probably going to be doing as well when it comes to my kiddos getting into their middle to high school years. Now, I will say for high school, I loved my classes that I did take in high school. I loved biology. We did apology of biology and marine biology. I also did the Abeka consumer and business math. I will say, and this is one thing I would recommend, that every high schooler take the Abeka consumer math. Those are the basic necessity common life skills that we need as adults, that's missing in every single classroom in America. Because it's just like how to balance a checkbook, how to pay for things, how to budget for things. It's just like what your household really needs to run will be found in that consumer math book. And so I highly recommend that program. It's something that I thoroughly thoroughly enjoyed when I was taking that, and it's something that the applications and stuff that they have you practice are things that I still do today. I don't use any algebra, but I use everything that I learned in consumer math. So for the extracurriculars, when I came to what I did growing up, so we were a part of a very large children's choir, and I loved that. We did that for quite a few years, as well as, again, music. I did piano, guitar, and then violin as far as my extracurricular, like the outside of the house outings. But within violin, it wasn't just a private lesson. We also did group lessons. So once a week, we would get together, and we would have, there's probably like 100 kids even, that we would play together. We play all the songs together. We did the Suzuki method, it was just a ton of fun. There'd be anywhere from 25 to 50 kids playing the same song, and it was just a fun way to connect with other little musicians. We again found some beautiful friends within that group, and it was a fun way to like actually socialize, but being very intentional with how we socialize, if that made sense, which is a huge benefit of homeschooling. Another thing that was very unique to our experiences growing up that really provided a lot of hands-on learning, and it really attributes to who I am today, and that is we used to go to all the different homeschooling conventions as vendors, and we went to, oh my goodness, probably 16 to 20 different shows every single year. And it made the spring and summer definitely fly by, because when you're gone every like Wednesday through Saturday, or honestly through Sunday Wednesday through Sunday, the time flies. It really does fly. But I really loved that experience. I loved the interpersonal relationship skills that you get while being out on the road. I love the work ethic I gained from that, and that's something that I'm actually really proud of. I don't really talk about that too much, but I'm actually really proud of my work ethic and kind of the ability to just get things done quickly. Whether or not that be a good thing or a bad thing, it depends on what it is. But I really attribute that to that, and just the actual life skills and the actual life experience that has brought, like, just honestly all of my siblings and my whole family was great, and I will always be thankful for all those experiences. So another extracurricular thing we did, and it is by far one of my favorite core memories, and that is being a part of a program called Civil Air Patrol. It's the auxiliary of the United States Air Force. I did it along with one of my older brothers, and it was such a fun experience. I did it for a total of 2.5, 3 years, I believe. I made it to Master Sergeant maybe. Anyway, it was such a fun experience. It's a program all about aerospace and leadership, survival skills, just so much fun, just beneficial knowledge. And I think one of my favorite things about it was just, it wasn't just the structure, but we did physical education as well. It was just the overall atmosphere. It was the formality of it. It was also just the learning about the aerospace and just some fun things. But my favorite thing and my core memory about it in general is probably the time I got with my older brother, and that was just a really fun bonding experience to do with him, and it's something that I will always look fondly upon, and definitely highly recommend you checking out Civil Air Patrol. I know they have squadrons all over the US, and just the benefits that it provides is such a fun atmosphere. And back when I was in it, and then my little brother is also in it as well, it's actually very homeschool heavy, meaning that there's a lot of homeschool kids that are a part of it. So you might be surprised about how homeschool friendly it is. I found it to be a wonderful experience, and I know my little brother loves it as well. So some of the hidden benefits of homeschooling for me personally when it comes to being homeschooled, and this kind of goes back to socialization, which is kind of funny because you're like, well, I thought like homeschoolers were antisocial. And it's not that we are antisocial, it is that we are very choosy who we choose to socialize with. I think it's very important, because I think the quote that says you become who you are around holds very valuable, especially when you have very impressionable little ones. I think it is extremely important to choose who you socialize with, and it's very different than just be thrown into a classroom with a bunch of peers saying, well, that's socialization, when really it's not, because you're not allowed to talk and like interact or do anything anyway. And so I think the whole socialization thing when it comes to homeschool, and one thing that I think my family did really well when it came to this, is they chose quality socialization over quantity. A lot of people will just be like, well, let's just socialize. I don't care where it is. We just need to get the kids out in public, especially if we are coming from a more public school mentality or background. And especially if you have people in your life that are very condemning when it comes to, well, your kids will be antisocial, your kids will be this. And it's not that we are wanting to be antisocial, it's very choosy, again, who we are social with. And one thing that I really appreciate that my family did really well was choosing the high quality over the quantity when it came to socialization, which I mentioned before. It was the children's choir, we found beautiful friendships, it was the group lessons and violin, it was Civil Air Patrol, all those things where we are intentionally finding like-minded people. Now, we were never a part, and I am not a part currently, of any type of homeschooling group. It's nothing that I've actually ever been interested in as far as a form of socialization. And same with like our church, like we're not in any Sunday schools or small groups or anything like that. And so a lot of people might look at that as being like very antisocial. But with just our few families that we do, like as close friends that we do hang out with, and then the intentional nature club that we are a part of and things like that, those are the things that I consider to be the quality over quantity when it comes to providing my kids those social activities. And I also wanted to mention as well, because sometimes I can fall into the trap of forgetting this, and this is something that, again, I am looking back at my childhood and being like, I love just socializing with my siblings, and I see that same like desire in my children, is they are so happy and content when they are just with one another versus with people that they might not know or might not respect. And I actually love that because it forms that beautiful bond and that beautiful relationship where your siblings, and Lord willing, they will be together and have a relationship for the rest of their life. And that's something that we as parents always pray for. And that's just something that is beautiful, and it's something that you can't really take away from. And so I'm trying to learn as well, like if they truly, genuinely just want to hang out with each other, that's fine, because if you can learn how to play with one another and respect each other within the walls of your home, then that is more valuable than forcing them to go out and about just for the sake of going out and about. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, that's my rant on socialization. But one of the things that I really do appreciate that my parents did was choose the quality over quantity when it comes to socializing. Again, this is like a hot topic in homeschool world, is just how to socialize, what is socialization, and who's antisocial and who's not. But another thing that I consider to be a huge benefit when it comes to being homeschooled, and that is something, again, that my parents did very well, that was interest-led learning. We definitely did the reading, writing, arithmetic, spelling, all that stuff, but they really gave us the flexibility and the freedom to learn what we wanted to. And one of the greatest things that I have been able to witness, I'm the middle of 7, so I've been able to see the best of both worlds. Like I see my 3 little siblings grow up, but I also see the achievements of my 3 older. And so I love being the middle child. I really, really do. And I find it to be a huge blessing, just because growing up, you could kind of go off with the big kids, but you could also still hang out with the little ones. So I always thought it was a ton of fun. Anyway, one of the ways that I kind of like to talk about when it comes to interest-led learning is the way my parents did it. And that was when they either spoke that they had an interest, they would go all in on that. So my older sister was very interested in missions as a little girl, and so she went to college, got her nursing degree, and she went on to do some incredible nursing things. Now she is in charge of a main hospital and has a family, and she's just I love seeing her success and how she started and everything. And then same with like my older brothers, they're following their dreams that they've had since they were kids, literally, and I just love seeing my younger siblings do the same thing. And so I really attribute that to my parents really honing in onto what their interests are, kind of helping them achieve those goals and their interests. And I really appreciate that part, of being homeschooled. That's a huge hidden benefit, is you're able to tap in more to where if your kiddos were gone to school all day, we may not, know what they're interested in, even because we're not around them all the time. But being around them all the time and really seeing and learning them and learning from them has been a huge hidden benefit. And it's something that is a huge benefit for me personally now when it comes to homeschooling my own kiddos. But that's a huge hidden one from being a second generation homeschooler, is reaping the benefits of having parents that really did that child-led learning when it comes to really focusing in on what your child is interested in. So another benefit is more time for the things that actually matter. And this is going to go, again, a little bit on a rabbit trail here. I'm going to try to not derail it too bad, but what I mean by quality times for the things that really matter is I'm going to now do this open letter to the homeschool mama. Because I wanted to remind you, and this is honestly something that I've had to remind myself of a lot, honestly, as far as being a huge benefit of homeschooling. Now, when it comes to homeschooling my own kids, a lot of times I will reflect back on what it was like for me growing up. What are some things that maybe I didn't like or did like, and what are some things that I liked about my curriculum or didn't like it? And you know what's funny is I always will look back and I don't remember anything, honestly, about the curriculum, how shiny it was, how new it was, how pretty it was, how boring it was. It was just, we did school. All school is kind of the same to kids. And so, I mean, this math book and this math book, they're 2 totally different learning styles, but to the kids, they're still doing math. And I think I can get caught up in, oh, but this is more beautiful, they'll love this, or oh, this is more hands-on and interactive, they'll love that. but in reality, it's still math to them. I mean, it will help them learn, and I believe you can choose different styles to help your kids learning styles. At the end of the day, it's math, and we should pick it based on how they learn, if that makes sense. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I don't remember anything about my actual curriculum, but the things that I do remember when it comes to being homeschooled are feelings, like the core memory of my feeling of being like I was part of something, like I was part of the unit. I had this, the memories of hearing that childhood laughter when we were all learning together. We'd fly paper airplanes with notes on it. We would toss notes across each other in the room, and we would have a cup of tea in the winter because it was cold and we were trying to get through our spelling list. And my older brother would have spelling competitions a lot, and just all those things where I don't even remember anything about a particular book or a particular curriculum. I just remember the feeling of being with your mom or with your dad or with your siblings, and I don't think anything can compare to that when it comes to homeschooling, which is one of the greatest benefits, honestly, is you are choosing your relationship over academics to some extent. And I believe the academics, again, are very, very important, but let's not miss the reason why we chose to homeschool, which was, all curriculum and all shiny new things aside, was to form those relationships with your little ones. And then maybe your kiddos will be like me in their 30s and be able to look back, and their core memory won't be the new curriculum that you got this summer. It's going to be, the time that they spent with you and the crafts that you guys did together, which I'm not a crafty person. So if that's your thing, I'm so happy for you, because I've never been good at crafts. But for me, it's just being outside with them, and it's just all those little things that they're going to remember and that they're going to cherish. And it's not always about the curriculum when it comes to homeschooling, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, another last benefit, this is a huge hidden benefit, and this is kind of going to flow into my college experience, and that is that being homeschooled has given me the opportunity and the ability to be able to concentrate and really get things done in any type of environment because I've never had a quiet environment in which to do homework or which to concentrate or in which to read. We always had a very busy household. Now, it wasn't loud and crazy, but it was very busy. So we always had little toddlers running around, or a baby, and everyone wanting to take care of the baby, and especially my youngest brother. There was 11 years difference between my two youngest, and so when that baby came along, everybody wanted the baby. It was so cute. Anyway, so it was just really the benefit of, we are so used to being in this loud environment, to where when I went to school, I didn't know what to do in a quiet classroom. I was like, this is the most boring thing. I actually have to sit here for an hour and listen to this lecture. There's nothing else going around but complete silence. And that was, for me, it actually took some time to get used to. I'm gonna be honest, it took some time to get used to. And then whenever they would teach us how to study in the library, I'm like, it is way too quiet in here. And so I would always try to find a common denominator between not getting distracted by all the people, because in college, when you go from homeschooling to college, it's a little bit different in the way that you're not around family, so it's not your comfort zone per se, but you're also used to the noise and not quiet. So trying to find that common denominator of where do I even study, because no place seems to be working but when it comes to my actual college experience, I actually had a very, very good time going to all the different classes and experiencing, sitting under a teacher, sitting in the lectures, having a more formal environment. I don't think I would have liked it growing up, but it was good for the time it was that I went there. So a big thing for me, again, when it came to going to college, was that it was definitely out of my comfort zone. It was 12 hours away from my family. So for me, it was a big, big thing out of my comfort zone. And I became a very outgoing person because I wanted to, get to know people. It was out of my comfort zone. It was a challenge to me. And one of my last semesters there, which was I don't want to say stressful, because it wasn't really that stressful. It was probably just one of the most trying seasons. I think I was voted president of my collegian. So I was president of my collegian as well as a floor leader. So I was in charge of, I think, 180 girls. And I had to do public speaking, whether it be in devotions every week for the girls on my floor or the girls in my collegian. And that was a very challenging semester because being in front of people, and even in my speech class in my freshman year, I was very, very just scared to death and nervous speaking in front of people and doing any type of public speaking. Like if you told me like even 10 years ago that I'd be sitting in front of a camera talking to people that I don't know, I'd be like, no, that's crazy. Anyway, that was a huge thing for me, and it brought just a lot of growth and a huge season of growth and development for me. So I loved that experience. So the next thing I wanted to mention, and this is kind of going to tie back into a benefit of being homeschooled / my experience going from homeschooling to college. And that is that when you are being homeschooled, one of the things that I love the most is how much character building and character training happened in my home growing up. And I really attribute that to my being able to discern things in college about certain people's character. And I really am thankful for that. I really, really am. So I did go to a very private conservative Christian college. So there was a dress code, there was a lot of strict rules. And what I've learned, or what I did learn in that experience, was that people can look as perfect and put together and follow all the rules on the outside, but that doesn't make them love the Lord anymore. It doesn't make them honor the Lord anymore because of their language that they're speaking in their heart, like the attitude of their heart was coming out. And being able to have that discernment going in really helped me kind of keep my distance away from certain people or from certain relationships, was because I was able to kind of discern that, if that makes sense. I'm really thankful that I was given the opportunity to practice discernment growing up, and that character was a huge important thing. And it was right up there with the academics itself, was that character training and habit training and everything else that comes with that. So I'm very, very thankful for that. And it's definitely a hidden but a huge benefit of being homeschooled is, again, and I'm working with this with my kiddos as well, is the ability to be able to train habits and to train that character under your roof, where you are their main trainer, you're their main source of inspiration, of encouragement and everything. And nothing can compare to that. And I'm very, very thankful for being able to do that. So the last thing I wanted to kind of chat about, and that is a grown-up homeschooler's perspective, overall perspective on homeschooling. And I had to try to sum this up very lightly. Again, I could have made 3 or 4 different videos off of this topic, but that is that, wow, it is a gift. It really is a gift. I loved being homeschooled, and I think looking back, again, there's so many benefits, and I should make a whole nother video just on like 25 top benefits of it. But it is just such a joy to now being homeschooling my kiddos, look back and see the full circle, to see the fruit of, and really the sacrifice as well that my parents put in to homeschool us and to teach us, because I know it was a huge sacrifice, not just for time and resources, but it's financial. It was like everything was a huge sacrifice to be able to home educate us. And you don't really realize that until you start homeschooling yourself, and you're like, wow, yeah, they were amazing. You know, it's just like a totally different perspective. And I think it takes having children, and it takes living the experience to really look back and appreciate things so much more. And I mentioned in the beginning of the video, talked to my mom a lot about this, and I'll be having a certain day or having a certain issue, whether it be with my home or homeschool, and I'll call her and be like, what did you do in this? Because I remember the day that this happened to you. And it's so fun to have those discussions of, first of all, I can really hold this lady, my mom, like in such a high respect, because now walking in her shoes a little bit, like homeschooling my little ones, and you know, her background of how in the world did you maintain a huge garden and homeschool? Because I have a little one back here and like, oh my goodness, how did you do that? So it really does take it in a complete circle. It really makes me praise the Lord, honestly, even more for my experience. And I pray that I'm able to raise the next generation of people that will want to home educate their little ones, and what a high calling that is, and what a service that is. But it's really, it's been a blessing. And I think looking back, and my perspective on homeschooling is, it is the greatest gift that you and me and anyone can give their child. It's not just, again, the gift of being home, it's the gift of time, it's the gift of teaching them what you want them to learn, beautiful things, thoughtful things, honorable things, and there's no greater gift than that. And yes, it does require sacrifice. As I saw my entire childhood growing up, it requires a ton of sacrifice. but it's beautiful, and it is 100% worth it. One of the last things I'm going to mention here, and this kind of again goes back to what I think of homeschooling in general, and that is that my mom also kind of adopted the philosophy of the Charlotte Mason philosophy of that education is an atmosphere, it's a discipline, and it's a life. And she really lived that out. She really did, like, this is a lifestyle. This is not just an education method. This is just not how we teach our kids how to read. And this is not just how we teach our kids science. This is really our entire lifestyle. And I think adopting that mentality has really helped me as well, where this is not just how I'm going to teach my kids how to read. This is it's your entire life changes for the better, I believe, because it's, again, not just about academics. It's about, you know, the togetherness, the growing together, and just all the beauty that comes with that. And I needed that reminder, which was honestly kind of why I did this video as well, is I needed the reminder that it's not just about that curriculum. I don't know, I could go on about this all day, I think, but I'm just very, very thankful to live in a time and in a place where we can, you know, homeschool our kiddos and raise them up to please and honor the Lord. So my husband and I are actually going to be doing a collaboration together, talking about honestly just how we do Bible in our home. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is a huge part of our video that we're going to be talking about is really just living out the gospel with the kiddos, making it a part of our everyday life. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because that, again, is something that I was gifted growing up, is seeing the gospel live out in my parents and my family and their marriage and just our family in general. And never underestimate the power of your kids watching you and picking up on whether it be your attitude, your prayers, the way you talk to God and for God and about God. Never underestimate that power. Again, that's another huge benefit of homeschooling, is you can really drop those little seeds of the gospel and plant them in your kiddo's heart all throughout the day, with just so much intentionality. But it's so simple to just drop that little seed in. And if they have questions, you can just go with it. And it's such a beautiful thing about being together in the home. And I love that. Anyway, we're going to be talking more about that in an upcoming video. My husband and I together, I'm so excited. I love doing videos with him because I like the more discussion style. I feel like that way I don't have to like ramble on. But I'm really excited to have him back on my channel. We'll be doing that probably in a month or so. A couple of other videos that you can expect to see from me in the next month. I'm going to be doing a end of the year recap. So I haven't done an actual recap video since probably November, December of last year. Let me know if you guys do like the monthly recap videos. I stopped doing them for a while. Honestly, I just totally forgot to do them after Christmas. Let me know if you guys enjoy those. I love to start doing those again. I do enjoy doing the monthly recaps and then the following months like intentions or goals, things like that. So I'm going to be doing a whole year recap. I have a lot to talk about that because it's also going to be leading up into what our summer plans are, which will be another upcoming video. But those 3 videos are what I have planned to film this week. But yes, I am going to go grab my kiddos, head inside and make some dinner. I do thank you guys so much for being here again and for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to know if you are a first or second generation homeschooler, or even longer than that. That would be incredible if there was. I'd love to know where you fall and kind of what your experience is right now homeschooling. It's just always fun to support other mamas and kind of support each other in the comment thread. But thank you again for being here, and I hope you guys have a great day whatever you're doing, and God bless. Bye.
Oh, I wish it was me.